Okay, this is filing week in Washington State. This is the week that if you're interested in running for a local municipal election, this is the time that you have to get down there to the auditor's office and file your paperwork. It ends on May 19th, so I know this video is pretty dated here, but I really wanted to make a point of just doing a quick reminder video about this week because it's an important week. I've done several videos lately where I've been critical of people who jump into races for the governor or senator or Congress or something like that, and they don't really have any preparation or plan, certainly no plan to win. But this is an opportunity that if you have political aspirations or you want to engage and be more involved in your local community, local elected offices, this is the week that you have to start getting involved, and the decisions that happen this week are going to be what set the tone all the way from now until November. So let's talk a little bit about filing week, because essentially all throughout Washington State you have thousands of elected positions, and I mean literally thousands. And this is usually ranging mostly from school board races, for example, and we have almost 300 school boards in Washington State. And there's typically, with the exception of Seattle, there's actually 5 school board members on each board. So either 3 or 2 are being elected this cycle, and kind of an off-year election. So if you want to make a difference in your local school board race, this is the time to get involved. You can put your hat in the ring this week, or you can adopt somebody else who's already doing that and start helping them. This is also when you have a lot of city council, or if you're a charter county, one of the 7 charter counties, you'd be county council elections as well. So there's a lot of opportunities to run for local office there. We have several hundred cities in Washington State, so you have an opportunity in almost every one of those cities to run for local office if you happen to live in one of those cities. And you also have a lot of, frankly, I think quite often ignored, local elected positions that are very important, things like on your fire commission or your public utility board, or perhaps it's the mosquito control district in Asotin County. I mean, there's a number of different positions all around the state. Wherever you live locally, you can go down to your county auditor's office and you can find actually a number of these different positions, most of which, frankly, go unchallenged. If there's anybody there and they want to stay there, they typically are running without anybody running against them. And frequently, I know we have found actually hundreds of these races that often have nobody running for them, and the auditor's office has to come back out and again reopen that position so that somebody desperately, anybody can run for office. If you have aspirations at running for a higher office at some point in time in the future, I greatly encourage you first to start locally, start with a local position, and get your feet wet doing something like that, getting the experience of just how board meetings run, how budgets are run, how to do auditing of budgets, and more familiarity with what's going on in your local community. It's a great place to start. It's a great way to start. And it's very important, I think, that we actually run good people for these offices. Frequently, liberty and freedom-oriented people who don't tend to like government very much in the first place, we aren't the people who oftentimes run for these local positions, and that's a great mistake, because if we don't run, what kind of people do you get in there? Well, the usual corrupt big government types that go in there and squander a lot of money and use it for grifting operations. So instead, if you want to get in there and actually get on these boards and in these elected bodies and start basically implementing your belief system at that point in time, right? Better government, more transparency, more public access, more efficiency with how they use their money or their budget, or perhaps downsizing some of the ridiculous lists of probably absurd codes or rules that you may not necessarily need in your local community. It's going to be different wherever you live. But the question, of course, then, is what are you going to do this year, 2023? This is the year when these local elected offices are up. Sure, you got people running for governor already and some of the statewide positions. They're going to start campaigning this year. But those elections aren't until next year, so this is your opportunity to make a difference in these local positions. So just in closing, this is your time. If you've been throwing stuff at the computer screen or you're disappointed with how things are going locally, this is your chance that you actually can make a difference in a local community where really just a small number of people can oftentimes make a pretty substantial difference. So just in closing, want to kind of summarize everything, just in case you didn't get it yet. Number one, focus locally. I think you can make a much greater impact in your local community if you get involved there first before you ever look to any of these bigger and higher offices that are a lot more complex and harder to get involved in. Secondly, if you're not going to run for office yourself, that's fine, but try to adopt a local campaign or candidate who you're willing to support. Maybe a group of them who you're willing to support. Maybe a slate of them running for your local school board. They believe in math and they want to restore math in your local school district. Whatever it is, focus locally here and then adopt a local campaign that you can actually help with. And finally, again, if you want to make a difference, you have to actually engage and show up. You can't just expect for it to just happen on its own by osmosis or because you wish it into being. It's going to actually take some kind of involvement for you to get involved and make a difference. Besides that, you get to know a lot of good people locally, and you find out the other people in your community who probably share the same values, same concerns, and same goals and aspirations that you do. Because after all, if we don't show up, we have lots of problems, because in the end, the future belongs to those who show up.